Good Lord, what a room to do a press conference in. Tell those other guys to shut the hell up and let the guy talk. My God, I could barely hear what he was saying. Where do they do that? They hang up that backdrop right in front of the showers? What the hell was that? All right, anyway. Dorian Thompson-Robinson getting his second career start. He played the Week 4 game against the Ravens to the surprise of many, including him, Peter. No one's going to say this out loud. The reason Dorian Thompson-Robinson wasn't ready for his prior NFL game action is because he didn't think he was playing, because the starting quarterback, Deshaun Watson, was saying all week long, yes, I have a shoulder injury, but I'm playing. And he learned a valuable lesson, Dorian Thompson-Robinson did. Always assume as the backup that you're going to be playing, even if you're 99.9% sure you won't be.
Hey, Mike, no matter what the Browns say now, you have to think, I certainly think, that, we killed the Cardinals for getting a penny on the dollar in trade for Josh Dobbs. Well, in August, the Browns felt, okay, we're fine with Deshaun Watson, and we have a long-term, quarterback in waiting in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. We're going to be fine at the backup position. And because we really trust this guy. And I'm not saying, look, they lost to the Ravens 28-3 in Week 4. So I'm not saying they would have won that game with Josh Dobbs, but I'm saying they would not have lost the game 28-3. That's for damn sure. And so to me, I think that, this is a year when I can look at about 7 teams in the league. You certainly can look at the New York Giants as well. And you can ask, so you don't think you need 3 quarterbacks? Okay, well, let's just see then. And that leads to Danny DeVito being the quarterback of the New York Giants, he said tongue in cheek. So to me, I think the same thing with Josh Dobbs. I think anybody would ask the question, is it worth a day 3 20 pick advantage to have to start Clayton Tune at Cleveland and get absolutely, totally embarrassed instead of starting a guy who's not going to be fazed by Myles Garrett coming right down the turnpike at you on every passing down, and would have made it a competitive game. So again, I don't know. I've played this tune many times, no pun intended, but I just think a lot of times NFL teams do not take the backup quarterback situation nearly as seriously as they should.
I think you're absolutely right, and I was poking around this week as to some of the reasons why, and I'm going to paraphrase from a text I got from someone in a position to know the importance of the backup quarterback position. Way too many teams just look at it as, let's roll with what we've got, can't get anything else anyway. That's the attitude. Let's just go with what we have. And I think part of it too, Peter, Sims and I were talking about this yesterday. Okay, you've got your guy that knows your system, knows your coaches, knows your players. You know him. He knows you. No unknowns. No guesswork. We just stay the course. Or you bring in some guy that doesn't know anything. So on top of all the other things you have to do during the week to get ready for a game, you got to roll up your sleeves a little bit higher and get this guy up to speed and find out what you can about him. And how are you going to adjust your system to fit him? And how is he going to learn your system? And even though that guy may be better than the guys you have, it's just too much work. It's too much effort. It's not worth it. And that's what the Jets have done all year long, week after week after week. We're fine with who we have. We're fine with who we have. And then the Vikings get in that position, and what do? Let's look at every possible alternative out there. That's what Kevin O'Connell said the Monday after Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles tendon. We're looking long-term. We're looking short-term. We're looking at everything. And they settle on Josh Dobbs. And let's get him ready. Here he is. Let's get him ready. And, I've been repeating your point from last week. It really is amazing how little the Cardinals got for Josh Dobbs and how there was no one else at the table to drive up the price. Josh Dobbs was under the impression the Browns were in it. I'm told the Browns weren't in it. There was another team in it. I don't know which team it was. The Browns weren't even in it. And hey, Dorian Thompson-Robinson may come out and throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns and no interceptions on Sunday. He looked great in the preseason. And maybe the explanation is he just wasn't ready to play because Deshaun Watson was telling anyone who would listen, I'm playing in that Ravens game. It doesn't explain why they benched him for P.J. Walker. And it's still not clear why they're going back to him now because Walker presided over the win over the 49ers. They almost beat the Seahawks. So they see something in Thompson-Robinson, and they're willing to give him a shot in a pretty consequential game. 6-3 Steelers, 6-3 Browns in Cleveland on Sunday.
You know, what's interesting about this game, at least the way I look at it, Mike, is that, look, the Steelers have the freaking luckiest horseshoe of all time somewhere in their equipment bag. So I explain this
I know where
to me.
Sims would say it is. Sims would say it's up their butt because he says that all the time.
Well,
horseshoe and a shamrock and other things.
Wherever it is, you keep waiting for some shoe to drop on the Steelers. And I'm not sure it's going to drop. That's the point. I really don't know that it's going to drop. Because, listen, everybody always, the most quoted statistic in the NFL all season is that the Steelers have been outgained in all 9 games. And they're 6-3. But I think honestly, the strangest thing, if you look at it, Mike, and I was looking at this week, you know what's amazing? That Kenny Pickett in the last 6 games, this is 6 games. This is not 1 or 2. The last 6 games, he's thrown 2 touchdown passes. He's like Zach Wilson West. How in the world are they winning all these games when Kenny Pickett is completing whatever it is? I think he's completing like 61%, and he doesn't score touchdowns. What in the world is going on here? And so, I look at it and I just say, at some point, a team is going to not turn it over against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they're going to lose a game that everybody thought, who knows, coming up, the rest of their schedule. If a team doesn't turn it over against them, even a bad team, even like New England, they're playing them in a couple of Thursdays from now. If the Patriots don't turn it over, they get a decent chance to win. And everybody said, well, Patriots are not beating the Steelers. I don't know why. What do the Steelers do great? And so, we'll see what happens. But they get a pretty good advantage right now, obviously, because now they play Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and then they might play Jake Browning the week after that because they got to play Cincinnati. So we'll see. But, I think the one thing about the Steelers now that you have to watch is if I were Mike Tomlin, if I were Matt Canada, the beloved Matt Canada, I would just say, listen, we have got to ride this Jaylen Warren until the tires come off. This is the guy we have to feature. And he's only had 2 games all year where he's run it over 10 times. But they got to make that a consistent part of their offense, and I mean right now.
As to Kenny Pickett, Coach Mike Tomlin said this week, we're going to need more, particularly as this road narrows. He has no interceptions over the last 5 games, but only 3 total touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 rushing. He would have a 3rd passing touchdown if George Pickett had dragged his toe a couple of Thursdays ago in Pittsburgh, but still, it's not a stellar performance from the quarterback. But, Peter, the debate that Sims and I have, because I have lived in and around Pittsburgh my whole life, and I just kind of have a feel for how this team is. And there are certain Steelers games where I just know they're going to win. Now, I don't feel as strongly about it this weekend. I do pick them to win in Cleveland, but there's just like when the Ravens came to town and Sims thought that was the moment this balloon was going to pop of my faith in the Steelers, my weird, strange belief that they're going to find a way to win no matter what. And they did that day. Sims' argument is, great, they're going to win enough games to get to the playoffs, and then they're going to get blown out in the wild card round. But he agrees with my assessment. It comes from the stats from this Packers game. Jalen Warren, 101 rushing yards. Najee Harris, 82 rushing yards. As we get closer to the playoffs, you play defense and you run the ball, and maybe you win one of these weather games in January in Kansas City or in Baltimore or in Buffalo. Miami, it won't matter if they have to go there, but they're kind of stumbling into the formula for winning in January, even though you look at them and say, how are they winning in September, October, and November?
And I'm going to answer the question with turnover margin because, in my opinion, I just think right now that that's how the Pittsburgh Steelers are winning. They have not had anywhere near the kind of consistent offense that anybody has when you win consistently. And so to me, it's a great example of why coaches try to teach that and try to coach that every step of the way. And so that's why, in my opinion, the Steelers are where they are, and they need to maximize their running game and keep punching the ball out.
We're going to take a break. When we return, we'll look at the, to follow on a point that we made earlier in the program, we're going to look at the gambling spreads for this weekend. We're going to give you our underdogs of the week. PFT Live. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.